Okay, we are starting Unit 3 this week, which is focused on functions. So we're going to start out just kind of defining some things to help you understand what those mean. So first thing is a relation. And a relation is basically a set of ordered pairs, x and y values, however you want to think of it, kind of. You don't have to write both, maybe just pick one. I will say there's multiple ways these can be displayed. So we're going to look at today like just a set, a table, a mapping diagram, or it could also be on a graph, okay? And a function is a relation, so ordered pairs, x, y values, that has only one output, which is a y value, for each input, which is an x value. So each x value has only one y, they're not repeated. You can identify whether a relation is a function or not by using the following information here. So we're going to look at just a different type of each and tell why or why not those will be a function. So first set, ordered pairs and tables. So they cannot have an x value that has more than one y value because that would kind of void that definition we talked about. So if it helps you, go through and write. So x comes first. So xy, 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 if that helps you, if you need to do that. So first I'm going to look and see. So -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. So my x's do not repeat, okay? So they can't have more than one y value then. So you may notice here that the y actually does repeat. There's a 6 on both of them, but the x value does not because one has 0, one has 1, so that is okay. So if it helps you, you can say x does not repeat. All right, so this one in this case would be a function. And you could say x doesn't repeat for your reason. Okay, so go ahead and take a pause and you try the second one here, right? This set. Okay, hopefully you're checking your answer. So I went ahead and highlighted the x values. And most importantly here, I see that -1 repeats because it has an output or a y value of 0 and then an output or y value of 1. So remember, it cannot have, each x cannot have more than one y value. So this one does, and you could say like, not a function, -1 has 2 y values. You could say -1 repeats, etc. All right, now let's look at the tables. So the first one, so input or my x is on top. I have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and output y. All the y's are 8. So if you remember what's important here, every x value has one y value. So 0 goes with 8, 1 with 8, 2 with 8, 3 with 8, 4 with 8. Now if I threw 4 with 7 on here, that would not work. That would make this not a function. But since each of them just have that one value of 8, it is a function. And you could just say each x has only one y. So there's a few ways that we've looked at that could work for your reasons. X doesn't repeat, x has only one y value, etc. Okay, now the second one here is kind of flipped, basically. Now all the x values are 8. But if you look, an x value of 8, it has a value of 0, and then of 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that actually is repeating if this were a graph. So if this were on a graph, you don't have to draw this. I'm just trying to show you. This would be, let's say this is 8. This would actually be a vertical line on x equals 8, okay? So that would not work because the y values are just repeating all along here. It's going to have a lot of, the x values are repeating all along. So this is not a function. You could say like x equals 8 has multiple values. You could say x repeats, something like that. Okay, a mapping diagram. So this is where it has these two squares. Sometimes it's drawn like two bubbles and they draw them. There's a few ways you may see that, but it cannot have an x value, which is on the left. By the way, this one got cut off, it looks like. That is drawn to more than one y value. So because each of these is a set of ordered pairs. So like 1, 8 on this first one. Well, that's 1, 8. 2, 9. And then this one has 3, 10, but it also has 3, 11. So this one would not be a function. You could say like 3 has a value of 10 and 11, or x value of 3 repeats, anything like that. So I said 3 has 2 y values to kind of fit that in there, 10 and 11. Okay, looking at this second one, in case you don't remember, domain means x and range means y. And then again, each of these is an ordered pair, so if it helps you to write them, you can do that. So this one is 6, and then it points to -5. So that 6 is the x, -5 is the y. The next one is 3, -2. 0, 8, -1, 0, and 14, -5. Okay, so I'm going to look here. Remember my x values, it's kind of what's important here, and they do not repeat. So I would say this is a function. And again, a few reasons: x doesn't repeat, every x has only one y. All right, and lastly, we are going to look at graphs. So a graph is a little bit different because you maybe, if you see a line or something, you don't look at it and think of what are those ordered pairs that they have. You just kind of see that line. So sort of a visual way to check this is if you drew a vertical line on the graph, it would not touch the line more than once. And this is called the vertical line test, okay? So I'm going to show you kind of how this works. So on this first one here, we have x and y, and then our line is this curve thing. Okay, and then they actually drew this vertical line. This is what you do like for your vertical line test. So if you draw a line in there, a lot of times a person will use like our pencil. If that line is going to touch the one that's graphed on there more than once, it is not a function. So it is only allowed to touch it one time in order for it to be a function. So this one would be not a function. And then on graphs, your reason would be does not pass the vertical line test. All right, so the second one here, if I were to do a vertical line test, now this one is a set of dots, or points. So really, if you wanted to list out these points, you could, but make sure you look at each of them. So if I'm going to draw my vertical line and highlight this time. So that would be a vertical line. All right, it only touches once there. So the vertical line, you can basically move along your whole graph, left and right, to see if it works, okay? So don't just draw like one line. It's kind of a continuous thing. Here, it only touches once. Here, once. But on this x equals 2 point, if I drew a vertical line there, it has 2. It touches right here and right here. So that's what we don't want to happen. So I would say, again, not a function. Doesn't pass vertical line test. You could also say that like at x equals 2, there are 2 points. Couple options there. All right, the third one here. So if I took my vertical line and I just drug it along here, that does pass. So that's an example of a guess one, because it only touches, like it touches right here, and then this one touches there and there and there and there. Okay, so lots of options. So I would say it's a function, it passes vertical line test. All right, and then the last one. So vertical line, yes, good there, good at that line, and that line. So it worked on all of those. So again, you could say passes vertical line test, say every x has only one y value, x does not repeat, etc. Okay, for your homework today, you were actually doing a quizzes. There are 12 questions, just identifying functions like this. Please use your notes when looking at those. And then when you are done, you also need to complete the November Evaluate today. Please look on the assignment because it tells you what numbers you should focus on. So like today, there are 7 questions on Evaluate that you should know or at least have an idea on. And your goal is to get a 20% on it. I know that sounds low, but we're just only partly into the year, so you don't know all of it yet. So please look at those. The others you do have to enter an answer on, but you don't have to like try and work them out, okay? All right, I hope you have a great day. Please message me with any questions. Bye.